This is an astonishing suspense film where you won't know the shocking truth until the very end. The main character, Robert, is a well-known plastic surgeon. Out of the 9 face transplant surgeries ever performed in the world, he took part in 3. It's no exaggeration to say he could rebuild a destroyed face or make damaged muscles grow new skin. But behind this brilliant reputation lies a dark secret. One night, Robert came home as usual. He opened the monitor to check on Vera in the locked room. Her flawless body always fascinated him. He then took out a box of candy, one of the ways he controlled Vera. But as soon as he entered the room, he saw her lying on the bed, covered in blood. Vera couldn't stand the monotony anymore, so she slit her wrist to end her life. It wasn't the first time, but Robert's skills always brought her back from the brink. He then walked into his lab to make more skin to repair her. In fact, all of Vera's skin was artificial. This new skin not only resisted insect bites, but could also withstand extreme heat. Robert knew if this invention went public, its commercial value would shock the world. Vera, however, looked at him without expression. All she wanted was to finish the experiment and gain her freedom. That afternoon, Robert attended a private academic seminar where he presented Vera's data, claiming he had developed immune skin that could reduce malaria. Although he said the experiments were on mammals, the chairman quickly realized the truth. He warned Robert to stop immediately, because human experiments were strictly forbidden. Knowing he was guilty, Robert didn't argue. He explained the research was only to honor his late wife and promised it would never be used otherwise. When he returned home, he checked the monitor again and saw Vera reading. Zooming in, he felt she noticed him. By the time he entered with candy, Vera already sensed his arrival. Robert told her the experiments were finished and he was ready to give her freedom. But instead of leaving, Vera said she wanted to live with him as a normal couple. This sudden confession caught him off guard. He tried to leave, but Vera blocked his way and confessed her love, saying she had fallen for him without even realizing it. For the first time since losing his wife, Robert felt love again, and it made him nervous. The next day, Maria the housekeeper noticed Robert was troubled. After he explained, she became worried. She had long feared this outcome. Years ago, Robert's wife Vera had died in an accident. To fill that void, he transformed another person into her image and even gave her the same name. It served both his scientific ambition and his grief. Over time, Robert developed feelings and fell deeply in love with this new Vera. Maria warned him that he was going too far and suggested killing her, since she was just an experiment. But Robert refused. He could never harm someone who carried his wife's face. At this point, a question arises. What was Vera's original name, and why did she become Robert's experiment? Days later, Maria fired the other 3 servants as instructed because the research had reached its end. Just then, an uninvited guest arrived. Dressed in a tiger costume, he claimed he was looking for his mother. Maria didn't want to deal with him, but when she saw the birthmark on his hip, she realized it was her long-lost son. Out of maternal love, Maria let him in but insisted he couldn't stay long. The man, nicknamed Tiger, refused to leave without a meal. Since he already knew Robert, Maria reluctantly agreed. Soon after, a TV news report revealed that Tiger had just robbed a jewelry store. Alarmed, Maria told him to leave immediately, but he refused, demanding Robert give him a new face. While arguing, he noticed Vera practicing yoga on the monitor. He instantly recognized her and was shocked to find the missing woman here. Realizing her son was losing control, Maria pulled out a gun and ordered him to leave. A fight broke out, but she couldn't shoot her own child, so Tiger tied her to a chair. Afterward, he searched for the hidden room. Vera heard the noise, and when the door finally opened, she tried to escape, but Tiger caught her, pinned her down, and assaulted her. Watching the monitor, Maria was frantic, but thankfully, Robert returned in time. Without hesitation, he shot Tiger dead. That night, while Robert was dealing with Tiger's body, Maria told Vera about the past. Long before Robert was born, Maria had already been working as a maid in the mansion. Since the lady of the house couldn't have children, Robert was actually the son of the master and Maria. Later, Maria had another child with a male servant, and that child was Tiger, which made him Robert's half-brother. Hearing this shocked Vera, and she immediately asked why Tiger knew her. Maria sighed and explained further. When Robert grew up, he married a beautiful woman and they had a lovely daughter. Years later, Tiger came to visit Maria. Unexpectedly, he fell in love with Robert's wife Vera at first sight. To satisfy their desires, the two of them planned to run away together. But no one expected that on the way, the car crashed. Tiger, with only minor injuries, fled, while Vera was burned all over her body and ended up in a vegetative state. Luckily, Robert's medical skills saved her life. From then on, he hid all the mirrors in the house so his wife wouldn't see her face. He worked day and night researching artificial skin, hoping to restore her looks. Everything seemed to be moving in a good direction, until one day Vera heard their daughter's voice. Excited, she followed the sound and accidentally saw her reflection in the window. Unable to accept her appearance, she jumped from the 2nd floor and killed herself. Their daughter witnessed the whole thing, and since then fell into severe depression. 6 years later, she too followed her mother's path and jumped to her death. Robert's fate was truly tragic. Life had struck him with too much pain. At this point, Robert returned from disposing of the body. After everything that happened, he cherished Vera even more. He no longer wanted to suppress his feelings, and he naturally accepted her love. That night, they made love, then fell asleep in each other's arms. But Vera's true identity identity was still a mystery, and here came the first big twist of the film. From this point, the story shifts into a flashback, so viewers need to pay close attention. 6 years earlier, Robert's daughter was finally recovering from her depression. To improve her social skills, Robert often took her to parties. Even though the atmosphere was lively and noisy, he always kept an eye on her. During one of these gatherings, a boy named Vincent appeared. Maybe because they were the same age, he and Robert's daughter quickly got along. A little later, with alcohol in his system, Vincent took her out to the garden, which was filled with a sense of intimacy. But the innocent girl didn't understand. She even foolishly took off her coat and the painful high heels she was wearing. Vincent mistook this as a signal, so he pulled her deeper into the garden, wanting to take advantage of her. She resisted with all her strength, but Vincent was already consumed by desire. He even slapped her unconscious. To cover up his crime, he adjusted her clothes, then sped away on his motorcycle. At that moment, Robert arrived at the garden looking for his daughter. He happened to see Vincent leaving on the motorcycle. Robert searched in the opposite direction and quickly found his daughter's discarded shoes and clothes. The next second, he found her unconscious. He was heartbroken. He knew exactly what had happened. When she woke up, she screamed in despair, and her depression became incurable. Days later, Vincent was helping at his mother's clothing store. There was a beautiful young female employee he always wanted to pursue, but she had no interest in men, openly saying she was gay. His mother, fully aware of Vincent's nature, always intervened, warning him that if he harassed her again, he would be thrown out. One evening, Vincent told the young woman he was leaving town. He was tired of life there and wanted to see the world. But after saying goodbye to his mother, no one knew it would be his last farewell. He didn't notice a van following behind him. Inside was Robert, seeking revenge. Soon, Vincent's motorcycle was rammed and flipped over. Before he even realized what was happening, Robert shot him with a tranquilizer gun. Vincent later woke up in what looked like an underground basement. His arms and legs were chained. There was a basin of water nearby, showing that Robert had no intention of killing him right away. Vincent felt both terrified and helpless, not knowing the worst punishment was yet to come. The next day, Vincent's mother got a call from the police. They had found a motorcycle on the edge of a cliff. Judging from the scene, they said Vincent must have been driving recklessly, crashed, and fallen into the sea, with his body likely washed away. His mother refused to believe it was an accident, but the police said all they could do was list him as missing. Meanwhile, Robert received devastating news from the hospital. On a sunny afternoon, his daughter had jumped off a building and ended her life. At the funeral, Robert was overcome with grief. He blamed the hospital staff for their negligence, and his hatred for Vincent reached its peak. That night, filled with rage, Robert made a decision. He would make sure Vincent could neither live nor die. Not long after, Robert called in a few of his colleagues, saying there was a patient who needed gender reassignment surgery. Robert's home itself was set up like a private hospital, equipped with advanced facilities and full documentation for every procedure, so the colleagues didn't question it. None of them could have imagined that this was really Robert's act of revenge. Once the surgery was complete, the heavily sedated Vicente eventually woke up, having no idea what had just happened. A few days later, Vicente's body started to change. He was devastated by his condition and couldn't understand what he had done to deserve it. During a routine post-op check, Robert finally revealed the truth. Vicente listened, confused, unable to remember that night. He'd been high and had forgotten everything. But regardless, Robert believed he deserved what was happening. The story should have ended there, yet Robert wasn't done with him. Over the next 6 years, Robert reshaped Vicente's face into that of a woman, even giving him a woman's name, Vera. He performed breast augmentation, altered his vocal cords, and most terrifying of all, used his newly invented synthetic skin on him. From the outside, Vicente slowly transformed into a flawless-looking woman, his skin smooth and delicate. To ensure the skin fused properly, Vicente had to wear a tight bodysuit every single day. He tried to escape, even attempted suicide, but Robert's fortress-like precautions made it impossible. Over time, Vicente grew submissive, not because he accepted it, but because he became numb to everything. To kill time, he marked the walls with eyeliner, recording each day from 2006 to 2012, expressing his desperate longing for freedom. 6 years went by, and Vicente had nearly forgotten what he once looked like. His personality was flattened by boredom, and deep down, he started to believe he really was a woman. Back in the present, after a night of passion, the two defined their relationship, and Vicente was even allowed to leave the villa. But Maria, Robert's trusted companion, never stopped being suspicious. One morning, Robert woke to find Vicente serving him breakfast. The sharp knife and fork on the tray made it clear she posed no threat. It even seemed like she had fallen in love with him. Robert began to trust Vicente and allowed Maria to take her out. For safety, Maria loaded her gun, warning Robert not to be so naive. After all, this woman was still a transformed enemy, but Robert brushed it off, convinced Maria was just paranoid. Reluctantly, Maria took Vicente out. Later that day, one of Robert's old colleagues stopped by, hoping to rent the clinic. He explained that wealthy patients now preferred private spaces. Robert flatly refused, saying the clinic was finished and he planned to quit medicine. The colleague, unwilling to give up, pulled out a newspaper showing missing people from the past few years, one of them being Vicente. He recalled vividly that they They had operated on this man years ago but never followed with hormone treatment, which didn't make sense. Investigating further, he found Robert's documents were all forged. That meant the surgery had been illegal, and Robert might be conducting human experiments. If the press got hold of this, Robert would surely face prison. But Robert wasn't fazed. He pulled a gun, warning the man to leave. At that moment, Vicente walked in, calmly revealing himself as that very same Vicente, insisting everything had been consensual. Shocked, the colleague had no choice but to leave. That night, just as Robert and Vicente were about to get intimate, Vicente excused himself to grab some lubricant downstairs. But what he really wanted was the gun Robert had hidden in a drawer. All this time, Vicente had never given up on freedom or revenge. After putting on a disguise, he looked at his reflection, kissed it deeply, then returned upstairs. Robert, overjoyed, whispered sweet words to her, but Vicente suddenly pulled out the gun. Without hesitation, he pulled the trigger. 6 years of bottled-up rage finally exploded. The gunshot woke Maria, who rushed to the hidden room with her weapon. But when she burst in, she found Robert's lifeless body. Furious, she screamed at Vicente to come out and die, only to be shot down herself. Vicente wiped away fingerprints, changed into clean clothes, and at last he was truly free. Free from 6 years of living hell. The next morning, Vicente walked into his mother's clothing shop. The familiar surroundings overwhelmed him with emotion. One of the former employees asked who he was. Unable to recognize the woman standing before her, Vicente revealed his true identity and briefly explained his ordeal. At first, the woman was confused, but when he mentioned private memories, she finally understood. Just then, his mother appeared, looking stunned and bewildered, unable to process what was happening, and that's how the film ends. This movie is called The Skin I Live In. The title refers not only to the physical shell of the body that was altered, but also to the identity, struggle, vengeance, and twisted humanity trapped inside that skin. The skin is both a physical vessel and a prison. The whole film leans heavily into dark, disturbing themes, with explicit scenes as part of its style, and a web of chaotic, insane characters, each one guilty in their own way. What did you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below.